Hey guys, thanks for clicking on my channel and clicking on my face. And it's the holidays, so if you're clicking on this on the day I posted it, I just want to say happy holidays and happy Hanukkah. It's still Hanukkah for people who are celebrating it, and it's also Christmas Eve. So it's like, you know, it's a it's it's a decent chunk of people who might be watching this video. So I'm just acknowledging you. I see you. I don't, but I do, but I don't. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Strange World. And I'm a blind film critic, so I watch films with audio description, and this has audio description on Disney Plus. It's narrated actually by Nicole Sansorella, who I feel like doesn't narrate enough, because I don't immediately recognize her voice, but she narrates just enough that I know who she is, but not enough for me to be like, oh, that's Nicole Sansorella. So, but at the end of the thing, I'm like, oh, Nicole Sansorella. It's weird. So I, like, if Hollywood hired her just like 5% more than they seem to do, I feel like I would recognize her voice. She's just like right under there for me. But this is a very interesting film. This is a film that tanked at the box office. I mean, just there have been articles that have been written about how much money Strange World supposedly lost, and why did it go to theaters and not to Disney Plus? You know, why did Disney not market the film? Why did they just kind of send it out to die? I mean, let's be honest. First of all, this elephant in the room, this hit streaming before Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever was released in theaters first. That's how little they care about this film. They shoved Strange World onto Disney Plus in the amount of time Black Panther is still in theaters. It is not on Disney Plus, but it came out before Strange World. So, technically, we should have gotten Black Panther on Friday based on the window, but we got Strange World because Disney just hates this film for some reason. Just cannot stand this film. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the behind the scenes stories are about this film. I'm surprised this film got released because Disney seems to just be appalled about this film. And the funny thing is, I think it's the best thing they've done this year. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't a huge Turning Red fan. Sandra Oh's mother character in that film just drove me insane, and I just couldn't deal with it. There was a lot of things that she did, a lot of choices that she made, and everybody who just keeps talking about how that's like the best film ever. I'm like, what about this? What about this plot hole? What about this plot hole? What about this character choice? She's just written so extreme that, you know, you're trying to talk about all this other like nuanced shit in the film, and you know, it's really hard to do that when you have a character that is so cartoonishly terrible. So, yeah, so this is at least thematically even in terms of the story it's trying to tell. It feels like the same, like all the characters are on the same page. You know, we're not trying to be, overly dramatic and then have like one crazy cartoonish character, or really cartoonish and then have like one deep dramatic moment. You know, it just kind of it's even, and it's kind of an interesting story. I was really surprised because at first I was like, what is this film? I mean, at first it's really abrasive. There's some song about this adventurer family, and I'm just um that song is one of the reasons why this film didn't get a higher grade, by the way. The song was obnoxious. Anyway, this family of adventurers, and Dennis Quaid is like the senior member of the family. Jake Gyllenhaal is his son, and they're kind of starting off at the beginning of the film, and they're on this quest, and Quaid really wants to go over the mountain, and Gyllenhaal sees some plants, and he's like, no, we found these plants. We owe it. We owe it to our people back home to check out these plants. And that's kind of when you realize that not only are we like we're just in a completely different world. This is like I don't even know. I don't even know where this world takes place. I don't. There's really no explanation as to where we would be in this with this world. But they live in a world that is just fantastical beyond imagination. And for some reason they're having a hard time surviving. They're, on the planet, and this one plant that Gyllenhaal finds ends up being this great discovery because it ends up giving them fuel. It provides all of their resources, so all they do is farm it, and it sort of gives life to this community, and allows them to move forward in sort of that industrial revolution type phase, and actually sort of develop on this planet instead of just kind of wandering around like, what are we going to do? We're going to live in tents for the rest of our lives. So yeah, it cuts forward in time, and we see that Gyllenhaal is now a father himself, and he's famous for being basically the father of this community because of the plant that he found. Everybody just looks at him like he's, the founder of everything. And he's married to I forgot her name. It's Gabrielle Union's character, and they have a son named Ethan. One character name I did remember because it's the one character name that's normal. He's a character that just has like, oh, Ethan, I can remember that. And they have a good relationship, and Gyllenhaal he's just a farmer. He's not the explorer that his dad was. And he hadn't seen his dad in years. His dad went off to supposedly explore the mountains, and never came back. So Gyllenhaal has a lot of resentment towards his father, and refuses to do that to his son, and tries to go a different way and not put his son in danger, and instead is teaching him to be a farmer and all this stuff. But eventually we get to a point in the film where we learn that there's something is happening to these plants, the pando. And yes, when I heard pando, I did roll my eyes because it's a Disney film, and then I was like, Pandora? Like Avatar? You're already on a strange planet. You could have named that anything, and you went with Pandora. I was like, is this a fucking Avatar? Like, what are we doing here? Why? Why would you? Anyway, it's like this film, I get some of the people. It has a 4.8 on IMDb, though. This is not a 4.8 film. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not a 4.8 film. And even the Metacritic score is like 63, and it has like an IMDb of 4.8. It's like, come on, guys. And I'll tell you why when I get to that point. But as to why I think this film has a 4.8 rating. So they have to go on a journey to try to figure out why the pando plants are dying. And an old friend, Callisto, I do remember her name, played by Lucy Liu, who was a friend of their father's and everything. She's was around back in the expedition days, is leading the expedition on this airship, and I think she knows and has a path, and she's gonna go after it, but she needs Gyllenhaal because he's the plant guy, he knows these plants. So he agrees to go, and Ethan wants to come along, and I guess you can probably guess where that's going. So Gyllenhaal says no because his father dragged him all the hell around the world, everything, and he resents his father for that, and he's not going to do that to his kid. But his kid just doesn't understand, so he stomps off. Later on, of course, his kid's on board. Ethan's on board. And then his wife ends up joining them because he's like chasing them down, and she's like, Ethan's on board. So it becomes a family affair, and it's the family is going on an adventure to try to find out what's wrong with Pando. And then you see all these sort of like fantastical creatures that exist on another planet, and the big question of, well, Dennis Quaid come and pop up again? When will we see him? Because they did not pay Dennis Quaid to do the opening scene to this film. And, you know, it's just really unlikely. Especially in a film that's a film whose primary theme seems to be fathers and sons, and that dynamic and that relationship, and living up to an expectation, and being okay with the fact that your son does not want to do the same thing that you do. It's a great film to watch with your kids. Like if you are a dad and you have a kid, it kind of has more of the message for the father of let your son be, and your son will do great things. It's weird that it's meant for adults because if you're sitting there as an adult watching this, the message for you is your son's not going to do what you do. Let your son do what he does, and he will do it really well if you support him. Because Gyllenhaal doesn't do what his father, what Quaid did, and Ethan, turns out, doesn't want to be exactly like his father either. He's got kind of a different approach, but that different approach ends up being really helpful within the course of the film. So, it's a really nice film. It really is. And actually, the funny thing is, there really isn't a villain. Nobody here, I mean, there are people who make like temporarily bad decisions where you're like, oh, that's unfortunate. But then like right afterwards, you realize, oh no, never mind, they're not bad. They're back on the team. You know, it's just like that one choice had lasted for all of 5 seconds, you know. Like we got away from that, and we moved on, and everybody apologized, and we're good now. So it isn't like a consistent villain. There's not somebody who's like has some sort of like nefarious plot to destroy their world. Yeah, there's a cool little secret about the film, and about what this means, and about what the Pando actually is, and about their planet. And I thought it was neat. It reminds me of all the films though that have bombed, which is why I totally understand. I'm like, why did Disney even make this? These films don't work for Disney. Disney's tried this film so many times. They've tried like Treasure Planet. They tried Atlantis. You know, they don't work. They try to make this scenario work, but nobody seems to really want to watch them. Even Lightyear went into space, and people were just kind of like, I don't know, whatever. It's a Buzz Lightyear movie. You know, I mean, it just wasn't as big as the other Toy Story films. People just didn't care. I think part of that was because they replaced Tim Allen, but in the writing. But we have the same problem here that we have with Lightyear, where everybody like lost their minds because, my God, there was a lesbian couple. Well, spoiler alert, Ethan is gay. So Ethan is interested in somebody of the same gender and openly talks about it, and everybody is just cool with it. There isn't ever like a reaction that's like, what? A boy? You're interested in... As a matter of fact, when he says it to somebody, that he ends up getting like pointers and advice on how to woo the guy. And it's like, it takes it from just sort of like a different perspective. And when you think about like at that point in time, if we're ever at a point where we're, you know, living in the future and we're on some weird planet we know nothing about, I don't think people are going to be thinking about things like that. I just really don't. I think we're going to be like, well, we left Earth, kind of messed that one up. So now we're, you know, a million miles away from home. I think we have a completely different subset of problems. Yeah, that's probably, I think it's actually kind of realistic for them to not care. at that point. I don't think they care about much at that point once you've had to leave your home planet. Certain things just no longer have relevance. Um, and you kind of start worrying about, like, oh, is that a plant? An animal? Is it edible? Is it going to kill me? What is it going to do? I mean, there's so many times in this film where they encounter things and they're like, I don't know, is it safe? What is that? And I thought it was a neat film, and I didn't think it was going to be. I mean, everybody, basically, the world had told me to go ahead and just, use Strange World for toilet paper and just throw it away and just walk away. And I went into this film going, all right, well, I guess I'll watch Strange World. I had an option, this is my Christmas Eve review, and I could have seen Strange World or Glass Onion. And I decided to get Strange World out of the way first. It was kind of a toss-up for me. And I was just more of in a Strange World mood. So, yeah, I picked it, and I'm not mad about it. I actually think this is the best of the 3 Disney animation titles that we saw this year: Turning Red, Lightyear, and Strange World. This is my favorite. And also including some of the crap that they've put on Disney Plus, like the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules, and Night at the Museum, Common Ra Rises, or whatever the hell that was. I mean, they've had opportunities to put out several animated titles this year, and this, for me, is the one that worked the best. It's not the best film, and I think there are better animation films this year. So if it doesn't get an Oscar nomination, if this, I'm not gonna be mad. I know that Turning Red seems to be, I'm in the minority on that one. So Disney will get their one Oscar nomination this year, but I think this is the better film. So it's a very interesting film, and it tackles a lot of different issues, and it's kind of complex. I think kids will like it, but it's possible that they may need to be older kids. It's the Treasure Planet problem. It doesn't necessarily play to little kids. It's not Lilo and Stitch. Treasure Planet followed Lilo and Stitch, and I think there was an expectation that was, and Lilo and Stitch was super accessible. Adults were charmed by Stitch. Everyone was charmed by Lilo and Stitch. It did really well. Nobody expected much from it. And then Treasure Planet hit, and it just, whatever, fell off the face of the planet. So, yeah, I get it, but I just disagree. I don't know why people didn't watch this, and I'm worried that people did the thing where they were like, oh, there's a gay character, so my kids can't watch this. And it's just it's so unfortunate because they missed a lot of nuance about, just letting your kid blaze their own path, and not just letting your kid be gay, but letting your kid actually make choices. There's a lot of things that Ethan does not related to his sexuality that end up sort of saving the day because of who he is. Even his father thinks that he's progressive because he makes different choices than his father. But what we see is that Ethan is even in a completely different state of mind and has picked up these different ideas about sort of living as a part of the land and living harmoniously. And that's the kind of attitude that ends up paying off in spades in the end. It's really Ethan who ends up sort of saving the day. So with his own way of looking at life. So I thought it was a nice film, and it's well described. Like I said, they're on an alien planet, and nothing is based in reality. So you need that. There's several times when we talk about handlebar mustaches, there's a constant reference to it, and I'm just like, man, this must be a prominent feature on Dennis Quaid's face. You know, like, I mean, this must be a serious handlebar mustache. Because it gets brought up like multiple times. Um, so, anyway, yeah, I'm positive on this one, but not. I've seen better animation films this year. This is not Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. This is not Marcel the Shell with shoes on. There were better animated films. The Sea Beast, I really liked that. So, yeah, I am gonna give Strange World a B, which is a higher grade than I gave Turning Red at C plus, and a higher grade than I gave Lightyear at C minus. So, that's it for me today. I'm gonna, of course, review something else for you guys, and it'll be my Christmas Day review. And what is it gonna be? Probably gonna be Glass Onion. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's probably gonna be Glass Onion tomorrow. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I like to sit here and talk about movies that have audio description, and also remind people that blind people watch films, and we are an audience, and you can market movies to us, and we'll watch them. And there are people out there that do that. So I have a website, macamovieguy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it, and the adna.org. I'm just a little bit short of my 100 goal, so I would love more subscribers for Christmas. Man, if I woke up tomorrow morning, Christmas morning, and found myself at 100, that would be like a Christmas miracle. I'm close, but that would require like 8 people subscribing based off this video. So, we'll see. Anyway, that's it. I will review something else for you guys, and see you on the other side.